Hi. So today, I want to discuss to you about the importance of money. And since this is everyone's most preferred financial challenge, I figured I should be the guy giving you the ups and downs of how to invest into real estate. Well, not really, but still, I have some important topic for today. So I'm a super huge, long, uh, using fan, whatever. I'm a big fan and almost exclusively using Dunlop picks for the past gazillion years. And over the time, I kind of thought that I reached the conclusion on which pick is the best, like probably a lot of you, and it stood like that for more than half a decade, like around 6 years, I would say. Just with slight variations, but pretty much I've been using the same pick for the last, for the past 5 6 years, which was the Dunlop Jazz 3 Altix in like the small version, and actually I have it here in a very worn down shape. So it's this one, but it's not the one that I want to discuss about today. That was just like an intro because every kind of like half a decade, I'm trying out this song or the solo or this passage, like this very small, passage made up of just a few annoying notes that are just going against everything that I know, and they make me go back to the drawing board. And long story short, I tried everything that I could technique wise, but I was still having at least two issues in my right hand that I could not solve, and I was getting very strong reactions and feedback saying that this is not coming from my playing, but it's something in the pick itself, probably. Which again, I have not been contesting for the past half a decade. I already had the perfect pick. Even with that, I went through a lot of iterations, right? So recently, I went back to my big stubby. For those of you who don't know what the big stubby is all about, well, it's this big Mama Luke. It's where is it? Yeah, it's here. So this one is the 3 millimeter big stubby that I have for like the past almost 10 years, I think. And I just had this one and I never got another one because it was like an extreme pick. Most people use this for playing the bass. I mean, I like thick picks and I cannot lie, but that one was a bit too much for me also. And back in the day, I thought it was good for a while, but then I realized it's kind of like too much. So I stuck with like 1 point something, like 1.38, 1.4, up to like 1.5. And in recent years, I was experimenting with like the jazz tones, like the 208 and the smaller version of this, which is the 205, and they are both 2 millimeter picks, but that was like pretty much it. Past two, it was already too much. But because of this annoying riff, which you'll see live in action in a while, which is the main loop of the solo from Five Finger Death Punch, Lift Me Up, which is a complete different monster. We'll have the tutorial for that later on once I release the cover. But yeah, I won't go into that because I think there's some fishy things going on the original, on the recording, but we're not going into that. The idea is that that thing fucks me up for way too many months now, and that riff alone made me question my ultimate truth, which was the fact that I already knew by far which pick was the ultimate pick in the universe, and nothing and no one could change my mind. Well, apparently they could. His name is Jason Hook. They are Five Finger Death Punch, and it is Lift Me Up solo section. So, that being said, I went back to the drawing board, like I said, and I started reevaluating things. So I started revisiting my goodies collection. I won't tilt it too much because they'll all collapse. But yeah, ignore the mess. It's a very organized mess as far as I'm concerned. The idea is that I started revisiting this Jacko in the Boxo type of thing that I have here, and I have a lot more, but that's besides the point. And I stumbled across the Big Stubby, and I was like, man, that was like a joke of a pick back in the day that I used to think that it was good, but it's something that's way off. But then I grabbed it, and I played with it, and I toyed with it, and I allowed it to speak back to me, as sexual as that is, for an explanation with someone's relationship with his pick, with a P. But it all of a sudden was able to do something that the Dunlop or the jazz tones or even the prime tones were not able to. And I won't go into that right now into like a super detailed analysis, because I'll have a dedicated video for that if you like it, by the way. So please feel free and leave me a comment in the section down below if you want to know more about the intricacies of different picks and sizes and gauges and shapes and materials and all sorts of things with the abrasion, a lot of variables that are going into. But here I was with the Big Stubby, and I was like, this thing does something that the Ultics cannot, and also the other ones can. And I kind of took like 2 days, and I played using only the Big Stubby, and I kind of reconvinced myself that the Big Stubby, although it's a one-trick pony, apparently, it's not, because the material itself glides in a way that even the Ultex doesn't, which in my opinion was and is kind of like the ultimate material. But still, this polyacrylic that they are using in the Big Stubby, which I'm right now forgetting. It's like a weird name they had for this. I'll be putting it right now on the screen. So yeah, this material that they have is very glass-like. So this glass-like is almost like a synthetic glass. It glides even better than the Ultex in some situations, at least. So I wanted to go ahead and see if I couldn't find like a smaller version of the Big Stubby, because although I like the Big Stubby the way it is, still over time I kind of got used to using like smaller picks with like the Jazz 3s, and I mean the normal regular size Jazz 3, which is like the regular for Jazz 3 is small, and what you would normally call a regular size for the Jazz 3 it's like the XL version. So I went ahead, I did some research, and yes, they do have it. It's not the Big Stubby, it's just a Stubby. and it's the same, like translucent, and it's like amazing. So I bought this, but the idea is that with the stubby, it no longer has like a dipped in grip surface. It's level with the pick, which is something that I really wanted, because on the big version of the stubby, which is the big stubby, obviously, it kind of annoyed me that my fingers were kind of like sinking into like this, crevice here, like this lake bottom here, because it kind of made the pick want to spin, which is counterintuitive, because they did this. I mean, they designed the pick having in mind that it wouldn't do this, but for me, this is what it did. So when I was happy enough to find this, I was also double happy, because it no longer had that thing, and this one is kind of like flush with the rest of the pick, if you can see. I know it doesn't focus, but it doesn't need to, because you can get an idea of what I'm saying. So I got this, and I was super happy. Super sharp, pointy, just amazing. It kind of has sometimes, I guess, being a very hard plastic, it kind of chips away sometimes against the strings. Like if you're applying pressure a bit too much on one string or whatever, sometimes it can leave like some teeth marks on like the edge, which you can feel for a while, until you can get rid of them by playing it again more and just randomly hitting all the spots. But it's super cool. So now, coming back to the financial aspect of this, I bought about, I think, 4, if I'm not mistaken, about 4 such picks for like $3 or something like this, roughly. So, whatever, less than $1 for a pick. But then I went ahead on the almighty Asian import market, and I found identical copies, which are almost actually identical. So the brand is Alice. My very first pick, branded pick, apart from the ones that I used to cut by myself from like plastic sheets around the house, my first branded pick ever when I started playing was Alice. Like, they're the cheapest picks ever, as you'll see, but they're actually cheap in the affordable way, because although okay, for the acoustic general purpose picks, they kind of suck, but for this one, which is a perfect replica of this one, man oh man, like, first of all, the only difference is that the Alice version retained the dip that I was talking about, like the grip, chasm, scoop type of thing, from like the big stubby version that I showed you earlier. But they maintain this at the small version. And although it's kind of hard to put it on cam, trust me when I say this, if I put them back to back and front to front, whatever you like to call it, they're 1:1. I know you won't get a perfect sync, but trust me, it is there. Right now, from the way that I'm holding it, you'll say, well, nah, it's not actually because I can see something around the tip or the side. No, it's just because I'm doing a very poor job of aligning them perfectly. But when I do this and I look at them using my eyes instead of the camera, they're exactly the same size. So yeah, probably just, I would say, 0.5 millimeter smaller on the Alice, but it's amazing. And the cool thing is that, well, actually the original one is a bit heavier, but I guess it's because of that scoop that the copy has. Again, make no mistake, they're not branded as Dunlop, they're branded as Alice, so at least they did not go for being cheap shots and completely stealing away the design and the name. So it's a legitimate pick, in my opinion. And here's the thing. Again, roughly 4 for $3, something like this. So 4 pieces for $3. $3 by coincidence. And again, by coincidence, guess what number? I bought 40 of this, not 14, 40. So exactly 40, which means if you make a direct comparison, it's exactly 10 times cheaper, which makes these now 10 times more expensive. And you have to imagine that these guys are making big profits. So imagine these guys, right? So now you'll say, well, yeah, but they just look the same. They don't feel the same. They don't play the same. You're correct, because this one, you guessed it, plays better, which is very strange. But this, like I said, after you play around just a little bit, sometimes that plastic kind of makes microchips in one of its bevels or whatever, in one of its edges, or both of its edges. And you have to continue playing so that they wear off again and they kind of level themselves out. This, I never had this thing, and right now I've been playing them for like exactly the same amount of time. This kind of I don't know. This feels like it's made like from the exact same material. It's just that somehow the virtual fibers, because it doesn't have any fibers, but it's like the virtual fibers of this tend to not exist, or they're aligned in the picking direction, whereas for the other one it's almost like a 90-degree orientation. Again, it's a stupid analogy. There's no fibers inside, but you can kind of make this analogy with like things that do have fibers, and fiber orientation kind of explains such phenomena, right? So yeah, it's, I would say this one is 10 to 15% smoother to the touch, to the glide, to the strum, to the tremolo pick, to the whatever. In terms of accuracy, they're the same. But going back to that dip, that for some reason the Alice guys decided to keep on the smaller version also. Curiously enough, like I said, it annoyed the fuck out of me on the big version because it kind of made it slip. Although it's supposed to be like a non-slip design. That's why they made it, and that's why they corrected it here with the smaller version, where they probably consider that for the small version you kind of need this. Well, the dip makes it slip in the big version. Not having the dip makes it again slip for me in the small version. So no matter how you put it, it's still not okay for my wacky fingers. But apparently there is a good way, which is this way, meaning small with the dip. This thing feels just phenomenal. It no longer slips, no longer rotates, no longer does any of that shit. So this is not a dish on Dunlop, because again, they're still my favorite and they're always going to be my favorites. And the stubby and the big stubby are still amazing picks. But I just wanted to put it into perspective, like from a cost point of view. Again, if these guys are able to sell a whole fucking bag for like a couple of bucks, and this is their business, it means they're making profit, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. So they are making money doing that thing. Imagine these things. I mean, these guys making these things, selling like, 1 to 2 picks per buck. It's insane for just a junky piece of plastic. Yeah, it's not junky because it's well designed, whatever. At the end of the day, it's plastic, so you can probably go to some of the guys that are manufacturing like cutlery or whatever, disposable, I don't know, cups, plates, forks, knives, spoons, whatever. Some of those fucking things you're using to stir up your coffee in the morning. Those things are probably at the right price compared to guitar picks in general. Doesn't have to be Dunlop. And again, those guys are making profit. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell them. So you can get like a small coffee spoon or whatever with like a couple of cents, and they're still making profits. And it's like a lot more material than the actual guitar picks. So again, they should kind of sell. They should sell those things. I mean, guitar picks for the adequate price. But as you know, guitar merchandise is never for the right price. It's always going to be extremely overpriced. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole topic. Leave some comments down below. Also about this wacky thing that I have going on here. Third video up until now. So yeah, please leave me some suggestions. Ignore the background noise that I have going around here. And yeah, please let me know what you think about the whole pick price thing. So until next time, mwah, ciao guys, tutto bene, whatever the fuck. Yeah, see.